going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about The Mummy Returns. So The Mummy Returns is a sequel to The Mummy that came out in 1999, which was a remake of the just original Mummy franchise back in the day in the golden age of horror that Universal was a huge part of. I did my review for the first Mummy that came out in 1999 a while back at this point, and I kind of had held off on doing this review for some reason. I had the thumbnail made and now I thought, let's talk about it now. So right out of the gate, I'll go ahead and say that I really enjoyed this movie, and I feel that it is a great follow-up to the first film. It really keeps in the same tone, keeps the same feel and vibe, and really is just another fun adventure with these characters. This film is once again led by Brendan Fraser, and you have all of the cast returning in this film, or at least the main ones, and you have some new characters in this film as well. And I always really enjoyed this film. I feel like it's a really solid sequel, and I think that it does a lot of really great things for this franchise. However, I will say that the first film in this trilogy is easily the best film. The first two I think are really good films. I think the first film is a really good film, and I think the third film is just solid. I think it's okay. There's a lot about the third film that I do not enjoy, and I'll get into that. I do plan on reviewing that film as well. But right now we're talking about The Mummy Returns, and what I could say about this film is that it is, like I said, a really solid sequel. I think it's a lot of fun. It really keeps in tone with that Indiana Jones, just over-the-top adventure, and I think that they do a really good job of just keeping it light, keeping it fun, keeping it silly, and just having a good time with a film. This is just one of those movies that I remember watching so many times when I was growing up. It was always on TV. I said this in my review for the first film. I just feel like the first two films were always on TV when I was growing up in the early 2000s, and it just was those films that I rewatched so many times. I've seen this movie so many times, and it has some of my favorite moments in this entire franchise. I really love the action in this film, the characters, just the character moments, the character development, just there's so many really impactful and strong moments, especially if you watched that first film and you enjoyed that first film. There's so many great moments with these characters that really follow up their story, really expand on them, really expand on the overall lore that's going on around them, and just really has a lot of fun just being a silly, fun action adventure film. So I won't be getting into any spoilers, as I usually don't, but I will give you a basic premise, and I think it's pretty easy to kind of assume. The movie is called The Mummy Returns, so I'm sure you can assume what happens. The Mummy Returns. Yes, the same mummy that they defeated in the first film does come back in this film, and for some people I know that they don't really like that element, but I really enjoy that. You're able to get the same actor to come back and just get the same character, the same feel, that history's been built. I really enjoy all the moments where he gets to see everybody that was a part of taking him down in the first film, their interactions, and I think they do a really good job of just following up that story, and I think that that's probably my favorite thing, is it just feels like a solid follow-up with a lot of fun elements, and just really plays off those characters very well. It almost feels like a very just cohesive story, the first two films. The third film has quite a bit of a time gap, and the characters are in a different place. There's, recastings, and it's just, it doesn't feel nearly as cohesive and consistent as the first two films do, and I think that this film, again, is just a solid follow-up to that first film. However, my biggest gripes with this film are that there's definitely an overuse of CG that doesn't feel as consistent as it did in the first film. The first film, it has a really great mix of CG and practical effects. When there is CG, sometimes it is cartoony, but I think it leans into that. And I think this film does the same thing. I do enjoy a lot of the CG that's in this film, even though it's really cartoony at times. And as much as I love this film, I do have some gripes with it, and I think the biggest ones are that it feels very cluttered at times. It feels like they were really trying to set up for other films, which they ended up, setting up for the Scorpion King. The Rock is in this film, famously, he plays the Scorpion King. He had one solo movie, and now they've made a million Scorpion King movies with different actors ever since that film with The Rock. And I really do enjoy the film with The Rock too. I haven't seen it in a while. I'd like to revisit it, but yeah, I enjoyed that film, and I think it's a good time, and I enjoy The Rock in it. But yeah, this film sets up his narrative, sets up his character, and he doesn't really have a huge role to play in this film. However, when he is in this film, there's something near the end, and if you've seen this film, there's a really big scene with The Rock at the very end that just is like, what? Doesn't really feel like the film set you up for that, and if you've seen the Scorpion King movie, and just based on the prologue of this film alone, nothing about it really set up for what happens at the end of this film with The Rock's character. It's very strange, it's very weird. The CG in that scene is not great, and it's just definitely a little off-putting. But you know what, as much as those moments are weird and there is some CG that's a little bit dated looking in this film, I have a good time with this film. Again, I think it knows what it is. It's just a silly, fun movie. Is it as fun and as good as the first film? I don't think so. I think the first film was a better written film with better character moments, better character development. But I think this film really plays off of that film very well. I would say it's just right below it, except this one feels a lot more cluttered. It feels like it has setup for other things, and it feels like there's times where there's certain things that you forget are in this movie. You know what I mean? There are some slow moments, and when you rewatch it, sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that this film goes in this direction. However, I really do enjoy this film, and I do recommend it. So if you guys have seen this movie, let me know down below. Have you seen this movie? Do you like this movie? Do you think it's a good movie? I'm very, very curious. What's your favorite film in this Mummy trilogy? Of course, I'm just talking about the Mummy films that star Brendan Fraser, that trilogy. So let me know what you guys think about those films down below. But yeah, I do enjoy this film. I think it's a good time. I think that it really keeps in tone with that Indiana Jones-like adventure. I really think that it's just a lot of heart, a lot of charm. However, it is cluttered at times. There is action that sometimes it just feels like there's just so much CG going on, and the film doesn't really balance the same level of practical effects and CG that the first film did. And I wish that they did. However, I do really enjoy it. I think that there's a lot of depth here, a lot of really great character moments, and you know, again, just a fun, silly action adventure movie. Feels a lot like an Indiana Jones film on a different level, and I've always really enjoyed these films. I've always really enjoyed, especially these first two films. I love riding the ride at Universal Studios, and yeah, I just love Brendan Fraser and these characters that are involved with these films. So yeah, guys, I know this was a shorter review, but I just really didn't know what else to say about this movie other than the things that I said about it in the first film, but I felt like I needed to do a review for this. I wanted to have a review up on this channel for this movie. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. If you've never seen it, I recommend checking out this trilogy. I would just say, you know, watch the first movie. You're probably really going to like it. The second movie, you'll probably really like it. And the third film, you may be hit or miss on some things. I know some people really don't like that movie and some people really like it. And I kind of just sit in the middle. There's a lot about it that I like, but there's definitely a lot about it that is forgettable and that I don't really like too much. However, this movie right here, The Mummy Returns, is a good, solid follow-up. It's a lot of fun. If you're just looking for some sort of popcorn flick to throw on and don't really want to be in some sort of deep thought when you're watching something, it's a good time. It's a fun, well-paced movie that has a lot of fun lore, builds on the first film, and has really great character moments that you find yourself caring about. So yeah, guys, thank you so much again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more videos, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!